Great. Welcome to Digital Asset News. To get top stories in crypto, break down a bite-sized piece today, just as the thumbnail and the title suggest. Looks like Block and Tesla are getting together to mine Bitcoin. So we're going to talk about exactly what that means and why there's going to be a couple of narratives put to rest. One of those being electricity and ESG issues with Bitcoin. Also, we'll take a look at the big announcement yesterday from Jack Mallers. And is it actually huge? Well, maybe, and probably later. And lastly, we'll take a look at Layer 1 crypto Near protocol jumps almost 25% on some pretty big news. And lastly, we'll do 5 questions in 5 minutes, a little Q&A at the end, so hold all your questions. But first, before we do that, let's take a look at the market, what's going on. Also, if you're here for the live stream, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. If you're here for the replay, just know there's going to be timestamps below so you can jump around whatever you want to watch. But it makes sense to go in a linear motion. Let's jump into the market. So first of all, let me just tell you, the new mic is working out pretty well so far. The other one's going to be shipped in by tomorrow, so a little echo. Hey, sorry. It's what we have right now. But again, the market itself, Bitcoin, everything's pretty much sideways, a little bit down in some areas, I can say. Ethereum's not actually up a little bit. I think there's a lot of hype, a lot of speculation going on about the merge, which is going to happen sometime. No one really knows. The Ethereum Foundation has yet to release that date unless somebody has other information I haven't seen. That'd be great. And also, just so you know, that merge where we go from proof of work to proof of stake for Ethereum will not lower the Ethereum fees. So I hate to burst your bubble, but that's what's going on. Still a Ethereum fan, but we'll see how it works out. Tether's Tether, Binance Coin's down a little bit. Everything's down, I think, except for Near protocol. And we'll talk about that a bit. And let's see, 1.3 for Cosmos. I own Cosmos. Good stuff. Interoperability and things like that. I think it's just down across the board. So if you're waiting for the Bitcoin conference to really, spice things up, I'm sorry to disappoint, but it happens every single year. Until there's like a big announcement. This announcement wasn't that big for what people think it is. And we'll get into that in a bit. So first of all, let's just jump into it. Let's talk about the story, which I thought was pretty interesting about what's going on, which is Blockstream and Block, and less Tesla, to break ground on Bitcoin mining. And here's what's going on. So Jack Dorsey's digital payments company Block also was formerly known as Square, and Bitcoin infrastructure provider Blockstream announced what's going on with Bitcoin mining. They're enlisting help from Tesla, and they have broken ground on a solar and battery-powered Bitcoin mine operation. That's pretty big. West Texas-based Bitcoin mine will use solar and storage technology from Tesla. The facility will be powered by Tesla's 3.8 megawatt solar array and 12 megawatt hour megapack. Whatever, great. All this means to me is this. There's been a big discussion about the power issues that come about because of Bitcoin mining. Well, now you have an alternative to that. Maybe these ESG different issues that people have been raised about how Bitcoin takes way too much power to mine can be put to rest just a little bit, because we don't have to do 100% renewables, but this is a step in the right direction to offset that awful narrative that Bitcoin is just awful for the environment. Anyhow, the mine is expected to be completed later this year. They've broken ground, so they're making progress. And just so you know, the combination of Tesla photovoltaics and Megapack battery equipment will drive the 30 petahashes per second of mining hardware at the facility with 100% solar energy. Let me say that again, 100% solar energy. So those narratives, again, can a little bit be put to rest. And we actually talked about this. There was a video we put out. It was called Bitcoin and Power Consumption. We took a look at the deep dive and Janet Yellen complaining and so on and so forth. And really, if we take a look at the power consumption, Bitcoin terawatt hour per year is right on par with really gold mining. And this is from Cambridge Power Index. And we actually take a look here that Bitcoin is not too far off from a lot of different things. Iron and steel takes 1233. Lighting in the US is 60. AC is 2199. So as far as terawatts per hour, we're right on par with a lot of different things. And when we take a look at the next story about what's going on, it's going to be abundantly clear why we still need to do these things and power, the most secure network that's ever been created. So that's what's going on. Hopefully that'll help the narrative again. Let's move on to a next piece. This one's a little bit longer. And we've been hearing about this I mean, everybody's heard about this big announcement from Jack Mallers. And some people say it's like huge, and some people say it's just middle of the road. And I'm going to let you decide. But I'm going to talk about it briefly and just give you my experiences about what this really means. This is not going to move the market that much. We can see what happened with the actual price action. But I think in the long run, it'll be good. Let's take a look here. So I just put the question out. I was like, was that the big announcement? And because when I heard that Jack Mallers and Lightning Network had partnered up with Shopify and some other POS services, I'm like, point of sale services, I'm like, what? Who cares, right? I don't think it was that big of a deal. But then on Twitter, you can see a lot of different comments, and it really shapes the whole narrative. So if you don't know, you're living under a rock, this is what's been happening. Jack Mallers came out and he just gave a great presentation about the history of transactions. And he talks about the Diners Club back in the 40s, how they just stopped paying or just stopped using money, as they could use just a credit-based system. And it made a lot of sense. And he talked about how there's just different interplays. But really what it comes down to this, I'll break down this 44-minute presentation as fast as I possibly can. He says right now, since Diners Club in 49, this hasn't changed, which is the transaction process. So if I or you want to make a transaction, there's really 5 people. There's me, the person who's making the transaction. There's the seller, the store, that's 2 people. And then in the middle are my bank, your bank, and the card network, whether that be Visa, MasterCard, or whatever else. And the thing is that the banks and the card network take a little bit of piece of the pie. So if you send $100, they might make $3, which doesn't seem like too much unless you take a look at the billions of transactions that go on every single day. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So that essentially what is going on. So what Jack said here, he goes, well, we're just going to cut out the banks and the card network, and we're just going to use Bitcoin. And when I first heard it, I'm like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But then if you take a look at how Lightning Network works, actually, first of all, they're not using Bitcoin. They're using the actual network. I think this is a big thing that people miss. Even me, I missed this part. I had to do a little education journey. And what they're doing here is what he said is, look, if I'm going to put $100, I'm going to use the Bitcoin or the Lightning Network, and I'm going to transfer it using Bitcoin over to here. And right when it gets to the store, I'm going to transfer it back into dollars. So I was concerned about the capital gains issue, especially if I had to do something like this and use my Bitcoin. What about the capital gains requirements? But there is no capital gains because it starts as dollars or euros or whatever else it is. It goes across the Lightning Network, just uses that middle piece, the card network. Now it's the Bitcoin network or Lightning Network. And right when it gets to the store, it gets transferred into dollars or euros or Starbucks points or whatever the heck it is. I don't know. And there is no capital gains tax. There is no issues. There's no problems. So I'm like, well, it makes a lot of sense. And it's pretty fast. But here's the issues. And again, you can use whatever you want. First of all, smart contracts. Just so you know, Lightning Network, it just works on a second layer, right? So you don't have to use the actual Bitcoin network. It just kind of is on the very top. Think of it like, you go to a bar and you have your tab open. You say, just leave my tab open. And then you get like a couple beers, and then some idiot and inevitably will order shots. And then before you know it, you're having more shots. And at the end of the night, if you remember your debit card, you're like, what do I owe? You owe $275. Jesus. So that's kind of like how it is. Instead of doing a transaction every single time at the bar, it's just kind of like or it's just like a buy and a buy and a buy and a buy. At the very end, it tallies it all up. Boom, that's what it is. So instead of using a transaction fee every single time at the bar, they just do it one transaction time. That's essentially Lightning Network in a nutshell. Hope that made sense. So, and it's also, just so you know, right here, powered by blockchain smart contracts. Lightning is a decentralized network using smart contract functionality in the blockchain to enable instant payments across the network for participants. This is right from lightning.network, how it actually works. So here's the thing. The thing I was looking at, because I was like, well, how do they get paid? That's what I'm always thinking about. How do people make money off this? Here's the network benefits, first of all. It's large network, openly accessible, send receive payments, cash finality, meaning it's not just about the transactions per second, because it's very fast and very on that second layer, but it's also that this in this case, crypto moves. Because when you do this stuff over here, when you're going back and forth, they can authorize it, but the finality doesn't come off until later. But with Bitcoin, it actually happens quite quickly. So instant settlement and virtually free. That's the big key word here, virtually free. So I'm like, well, how much is it? So if you take a look at it, this is from bitcoiner.live. And I put this link in the description because when you're using Lightning Network, as I understand it, it is free or virtually free, right? Depending on what you're doing. But I believe for all these transactions, virtually free, this is how much it is. This is what it says, Bitcoin fee estimates. And if you're using Bitcoin per se, 30 minutes an hour, 24 hours, those are the fees, Satoshis, sats, which equal out to this, right? But if you're using the Lightning Network, it's 1 sat, which is like nothing, plus 0.03%, or the total fee is 0.0005 plus 0.03%, which is pretty good. Because if you've ever had to deal with transactions, because I have my different businesses, it's usually 2.9% plus 30 cents. So 2.9% of every transaction, or we'll just say 3, that's what everybody's been saying, plus 30 cents, even my small businesses, it really, really adds up. So imagine the Amazons and the Walmarts of the world. That's huge. And they lose that every day to Visa and MasterCard. So that's just one of the parts. And I will say this here. So the advantage themselves, where it talks about the Bitcoin versus traditional, again, virtually free and free market. So there is a little bit of a cost, but that's what it is. And that's what I was talking about, the 2.9%, 30% swipe is what we're doing right now, traditional-wise. So again, I think this is a pretty big thing, but there is an issue I had back down here where it talks about zero. So as far as cash finality, remember I talked about it's final just like that. There is no hours or days for the actual cash finality. It's zero reversals and no chargebacks, and it's instantaneous. So here's the question that I have. Maybe you can help me out in this one. So let's say you order a product or a service or whatever else, and you pay for that service. And let's say it's like, well, it'll ship in 5 days or something like that. And then it arrives, but it's not what you expect it to be. You call up the manufacturer, go, this sucks. This is awful. I don't like this. This is not what I ordered. Well, tough, this is what I sent you. So how does this work out as far as like getting your money back? I don't know if you can get your money back as far as that. And that's the whole thing with finality. And that's if you're going to do that. I'm wondering if that's how it is. Let me know in the comment section if there's another way to reverse that. I'm not aware of Lightning Network, but it's just one of those concerns that I have. It's kind of one of those things where I see sometimes that decentralization is fantastic and awesome, but there's also these other hidden things that we need to figure out at some point. I'm sure there's a solution. We're not all stupid and we can actually think for ourselves, but I think there's a solution to that. Just don't know exactly what it is. So that is that part. And then also when people say like, well, is this going to be a big thing? Well, remember, not only is this like there's an integration with Shopify, but they have all these integrations with McDonald's, Walmart, Macy's, and right? So it got me thinking, well, how big of an issue is this going to be for like Visa and MasterCard, Stripe, even PayPal, if you think about it, because it's going to eat away at their base, at just their market share. And now it all makes sense. It all makes sense right here. This was an article on September 30th, 2021. And it goes back before this. Visa working on blockchain interoperability for crypto payments. And I remember hearing about this. I'm like, why do they care about this? Well, now it makes sense because this was bound to happen. I knew it was going to happen. Interoperability project is designed to serve as a network of blockchain networks. It all says it right here. Visa introduced a project that aims to be a universal adapter of blockchains that can connect multiple cryptos, stable coins, as well as central bank digital currencies. That's pretty smart. Visa made a major move into the crypto industry in 2020, partnering with Circle to support USDC coin. So I'm thinking to myself, that's pretty good. Because if you're Visa and you're like, I don't want to get blockbustered, so how do I do this? Well, you can use Bitcoin. Maybe you also want to use Ethereum. Maybe you want to use Avalanche. Maybe you want to use Luna. Maybe you want to use blah, blah, blah. Maybe we can do something like this to still stay relevant and be in the middle. And that's why Visa and MasterCard are here. If crypto and digital assets weren't going to be such a disruptor, you would never hear about these stories. Visa, MasterCard wouldn't care. You wouldn't have the United States president going, we need a commission to actually take a look. And here's a directive because of national security as far as to investigate crypto and digital assets and move forward so we don't hurt innovation. You would never hear about these things. And you would never hear about these old-time institutions actually getting into it. This market will do fantastic. The only question is when. And before we move on, I have to talk about this, which is these two things. Because when people hear about the big grand scale, they're like, who cares? This is a dumb announcement. This isn't like El Salvador back in the day, last year, when they came out and said Bitcoin's gonna be legal tender. The question you have to ask yourself is, why is Shopify so big? Well, take a look at this. So here's some Shopify stats. I linked this in the description. You can search it up yourself. And 1.75 million merchants sell using the platform. Who cares? This is why we care. Shopify processed almost $80 billion in order value in 2021. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And I know people were kind of ticked off. They're like, well, this isn't Apple. This isn't Amazon. But wait, it goes deeper. So if you take a look at Amazon statistics, Amazon's retail product sales revenue came to $141 billion. And if you take a look at Shopify, it's pretty close. Processed $79.5 billion in order value revenue. 80 billion versus 141 billion. So if people think, well, Shopify is not really that big thing, it's half of what Amazon is, and it's only growing. So that is just one of those things to be aware of, is like, this may be a little bit bigger than what it is. And then if you really think about it, who cares if Apple integrated Bitcoin payments into it? Would that even be a thing? Because you'd still have all the processing issues and the things that Apple does. And believe me, Apple's here for a paycheck. They're not here because they on the value and merit of what's going on. This isn't for them. I think this was a better move, and especially for merchants like me. Do you know how much I'm going to save if I do this? 3% plus 30 cents per transaction. It's a lot of money. And that's for all of the merchants. So it's a step in the right direction. And also, you got to ask yourself this. Well, what the heck is Shopify? So if you don't know, just real quick, Shopify is a subscription-based software. It's like an all-in-one suite where you can set up and sell all the stuff that you want to do. Like, let's say you're like, I have a carpet weaving business. Here's a carpet. And then you can sell it online. They do everything. They do the checkout, social media stuff. They do the integration, all the things. And then real quick, complete platform, it does great stuff. It's made a lot of money. But this thing right here, payment processor, because you got to take money online, right? Payment processing, you can choose from over 100 payment gateways, or you can opt for Shopify Payments, which eliminates the hassle of setting up a third-party provider and saves you transaction fees. I was like, really? I did not know that. So you're telling me that the transaction fees were already zero? That's what it sounded like to me. Tell me if I'm wrong here. Saves you transaction fees. Maybe saves you some transaction fees. Maybe it's not free. But it sounds like I'm going to save a lot of money, right? Well, now, so if you go over here for the plans for Shopify, basic and then a little bit advanced and super advanced, depends on how much per month. But you still got to pay this. Credit card rates, 2.9% plus 30 cents. Same thing, in person, 2.7. If you pay 80, it's still up there. If you pay $300 a month, which is kind of a lot, 2.4 plus 30. So you're not saving that much on their Shopify plan. So if you're looking at like, well, maybe I should just use this Lightning Network because I don't have to pay that 3% and that goes right into my pocket, I think it's a pretty big win-win for everybody. And also, just so you know, Shopify, if you use it, I don't use Shopify. I sell on Amazon and all the different things that are there. And but I should actually move to Shopify because they also have this thing called Walmart Marketplace. So if you sell on Shopify, you can also sell on the Walmart online marketplace, which is the only reason that people use Amazon to sell things is because it's just integrated marketing for you. Everybody goes to Amazon, right? Well, Shopify might be the upstart to take over the revenue because if they got Walmart Marketplace, Facebook and Instagram integration, Google, TikTok, I guess, eBay, that's pretty big. You can also sell on eBay. Great. All in one shop. That's a pretty big thing. And all these places that they're talking about, now you can get the integration with Lightning. I think it's a pretty big thing. So anyhow, Let me know what you think about that in the comments section, and let's finish up quickly with a very quick story. Near. I own some Near. I own everything I talk about. I own, so I'm biased. Just so you know, Near surges by about 25% on two things. One, Near announced that they had raised $350 million in funding from Tiger Global and FTX Ventures. So don't sleep on that. FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried. He's also big into Solana, so I hear. So if they're also into Near, might be something to look into. And Friday's high came after speculation grew that Near Protocol will be using their funding to create a stable coin that would rival the likes of Terra. And if we take a look over here, let's see. Near was, I think, number 20 now. No. Near is, oh, wow, it's 16. So, yeah, 16 and Terra, it dropped 6%, but everything dropped. So that's what it is. So maybe take a look at Near. I think it might be another one, but who knows? Not eventual advice, just financial opinion. And that's all we got. So that concludes today's news. Thanks for sticking with me. I appreciate it. A little bit longer, 20 minutes or so. So if you got to take off, take off. Thanks for stopping by. If you're can and are willing, stick around with there for the Q&A. We'll do 5 questions in 5 minutes, and we'll get the heck out of here. So thanks so much for stopping by. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's break into your most burning questions. Always like a 30-second delay. Sorry. Doug says, that's huge for a lot more than 1,000. Yeah, exactly is. What? Oh, this is great. Bombiggy says, you're one of my favorites when it comes to crypto and real estate. Yeah, I mean, real estate's been very kind to me. I take profits and buy land. Good idea in Morocco. It's worked out great for me, so take profits and buy land is working for me. Yeah, you know, like, we just sold a plot of land outskirts of El Paso. Like, we bought it like 10 years ago. About 10, 15K, and then it ballooned up to over 6 figures. So I'm more of a long-term investor type of thing. And it works out. I don't have to do anything. Just sat on it. Great. Okay, that's a great question. Bobby shouts, Rob, tell me honestly, when the dust settles with all the government overreach, will crypto still be a good investment? I have my doubts when you look at capital gains and realized gains. So not in India. I think India's, they're moving in the right direction, but they're taxing themselves out of the advancements of what's going on. I kind of look at this like the different countries that shunned the internet, they fell behind quite a bit. So I think the thing with America, I can only talk about America because I live here. And I don't think that a lot of politicians want to ban or get rid of crypto. And the reason is, in 2017, when I got in, I think they might have, if they even knew about it, because the bankers and the people that were in power were like, this isn't good for us. Well, now we've kind of hit that escape velocity where there's just way too much money out there. And granted, it's only $2 trillion. It's only $2 trillion, but there's so many different research and projects and things going on. Now we have champions in the Senate. I mean, we have Wyoming Wyoming Senator Cynthia Lummis. We got Tim Emmer. I think he's from Ohio. I always forget. And different people that are really behind it because, first of all, it's good for the economy. I mean, look, if you're investing into crypto, things are doing out pretty well. Also, it's great for job creation. We have created a ton of jobs here in Texas. Even Governor Abbott talks about how great Bitcoin mining is actually done for the state. So I don't think that it will go in that direction in America. Other countries will try to ban it. The EU is doing the most stupid things of all time, but that's okay because that just creates a vacuum. So if one country misses out, another country will pick up the slack, and that's how it's always been. This is now a global economy. It's not just in your own backyard. Hope that answers the question. When pool jump? Tech number 2, pool jump happens after 100K. Hey, great. Rob, please explain a pay to hash. Google it. No idea. All right. I could. We're talking about hash rates. Wow. I just read it. It's about put me to sleep. It's an extremely high amount of hash rate. We'll just say that. How much? I don't know. Does it really matter? Not really. It's a lot, though. That's it. Robbie found the waves debacle. No, but I saw that it went up pretty high and then it crashed down pretty quickly. So it's one of those things. Don't chase pumps. And we go from there. Ooh, good for you. Flipped my link to near a week ago. Made it out of the hole. Good for you. So, David, do you have specific questions or just how much is one Satoshi? One Satoshi is one Satoshi. That's it. One Bitcoin is 100 million Satoshis, so not that much. Let's see. Just watch the green guys about mining. Only use less than 1% of the whole world's energy. Yeah, it's still a sizable amount. But again, if you take a look at what's going to happen, let's say that Bitcoin becomes that layer where all transactions are done, or the majority of transactions are done, and it's the most secure network in the world. How much would you put a value on that as far as electricity use? I think it could be pretty high. We'll go from there. Let's see. What was the big Miami news? Oh, watch the replay. I'll give you the rehash. Jack Mallers comes out and says that he just partnered with a couple of POS providers, point of sales, and also with Shopify. And those are going to be the transaction layer for everybody, for all the merchants. And there's essentially no transaction fees. Virtually free. A little bit, but not that much. Not like 3% plus 30 cents. So yeah. Yeah, I used to have Wax. I sold it. It's a great platform. If you want to mint some NFTs, that's the way to do it. This is a great question. Did you bring Chewy with you? Yes. And Chewy's got his last round of chemo next Friday. So we'll see how he does. Let's see. We are all George. Sure. No. So the question is the Amazon business, and people ask me this, like, can you do training on Amazon? No, because it's super boring. And it's a pretty easy process. You go to manufacturers, say, what do you have to sell? Manufacturers say, we have this. Okay, well, I want to buy it for X amount of money. I need to ship it to an Amazon warehouse, put the labels on it for me, I'll pay you for that. And you profit in between. You don't even touch the products. That's it in a nutshell. The whole thing you have to know is find the right manufacturers, and that'll make all the difference in the world. Thank you, Gary. Gary says 1,000 terahashes is a petahash. Glad we all know that now. I remember Scam of the Day. Yeah, Scam of the Day is every day now. You're welcome, David. So Dan Dre says, isn't that the batteries and equipment is from Tesla? Yeah, but it's a partnership. So they use their batteries and their photovoltaic arrays for 100% solar energy consumption for Bitcoin mining, and they partnered up, which I think is kind of interesting because Elon Musk just bought up 9% of the entire stock of Twitter, and now he's on the board of Twitter, and that's where Jack Dorsey is. It's amazing the overlap. I find it very interesting. So yes, they are working together. And if you don't think there's like other deals behind of what's going on, I think this is just the test subjects. And I think as time goes on, you're going to see a lot more of 100% solar powered Bitcoin mining, and that's just the start of it. So yeah, and I think that's. Oh, last question: how many coins do you actually have? In my pocket, not that many. I don't carry around any pennies or nickels. Like in crypto, a lot. And that's all I can tell you. So look, that's it for today. So thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. If you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. You can give it a thumbs down, but that button's broke. You can also subscribe. That helps out a lot. And that is it for today. So thanks so much for stopping by. I do appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.